Now there's another way in which the same thing gets played out, and that is in the Theyyam rituals. T-H-A-I-I, yeah? Yeah, happens quite a lot in Kerala temples, and it happens. This is the idea of what is generally called Kuthu, or in every part of India you have this. Yeah, and what is very, very interesting is that, and here I have to use Western and Eastern. In the proscenium theatre, you have the screen here. The audience sits here, and then the screen is opened, and you have a play of the gods with the chorus behind. And when the gods go away, the chorus will come and tell you what the chorus is and go back, and then the gods will come and play again. That's the structure of the proscenium theatre. Yeah? The structure of the Indian theatre is very different. You have the screen here, and in Kathakali, it's very clear. Many of you would have seen Kathakali performances. There'll be a first half an hour or so, in a good performance where the chenda will be going. Yeah, and even when I tell you this, you listen to the chenda drums and it does something to you. That terrific rhythm. And then you'll have these, you don't know what figures they are actually at that time. Though in the shloka it's being described, suddenly you'll see a hand coming up. Yeah, suddenly you'll see a leg coming out. Suddenly you'll see all kinds of things. And this screen is supposed to be of 7 colors, which is this color of light. 7 colors of light. And then suddenly you'll see the head coming, and then slowly this figure will come out from behind the screen, and now the gods in their form are here. Yeah, you remember what I said about Satvikam before. So if I, who is the dancer, who has spent hours invoking the deity into me through doing all this thing, because the Kathakali performance starts about 6-8 hours before this person comes on stage. It starts with this whole painting of the face where I become the mask. That's literally how it's described. And then this energy that I have now brought into me, which is from somewhere here, I bring through the screen of light and come into this space. And by the time I've done all this, if you've listened to the chenda drums, all of those levels of ahankara in you have been awakened. And then I dance. It could be Krishna, it could be whatever it is. Right? And in that dance, I actually invoke and absorb into myself all the avidya and all the seeds, whatever, of each one. At the end of this, this person becomes an oracle. Okay, so if you go to some of these enactments in the villages, when they've just about finished their dance, they'll actually be in a trance. Yeah? And you go and talk to them at that time, they'll tell you something. That's the point of time when they're oracles. I've also seen an enactment of this kind in the city. Yeah? Because from Tanjavur, a couple of people were brought in to do this. And what happened was, when this stage happened, when the stage was reached, that person ended up with a catatonic fit. And they said afterwards, this never happens in the village. Because in the city, these intelligent people listening did not allow that energy exchange. They were all sitting there and watching the performance as a performance and never allowed this energy exchange to take place. So this person got stuck with it and he had to be helped out of it and all of that. Isn't it fantastic? And then they go back and you have a Sutradhar who continuously helps you to see how events in this lifetime of this are actually extremely similar to the events happening in this Deva dance. The Deva dance being that level. Yeah? And the Sutradhar in older times had the permission to tell the king exactly what he thought was happening. Right? And obviously this was misused because there are stories of several Sutradhars having been beheaded or exiled from the state because he said the few things to the king he didn't like to listen to. So slowly it became a caricaturistic thing, and then you have a modern day Viveks actually end up making fun. Yeah, making it extremely frivolous almost. But that's not his job. He can use humor and all of this to awaken something inside you, but he's essentially telling you that the drama that's being enacted here and its resolution, which is always giving up of the asmita, that's the last act, how it reflects in you. Yeah? And if you go to the villages, very interesting things happen. That let's say story of Sita and Rama is being talked about, or Draupadi is being talked about. There'll be people in the audience arguing about how can this be done to Draupadi, or somebody will shout at the person who is narrating, saying, how dare Rama do this, or how dare so-and-so do this. So it's live for all of them. Yeah, and the whole village, when it comes in and partakes of this, experiences a cleansing. The actors and many people in the audience will go through a catharsis. It's just fantastic, the whole thing. And afterwards, this fellow will be having a BD, and it's just unbelievable. Yeah. So it's a fabulous event. So and that's how it becomes a social event. Okay, and it's all the same structure. So these devas are coming out of this space into this space. And they come out in a way that helps you to evoke your energies and therefore offer that. So it becomes a shared field of a kind where the enactment takes place and then they retire and go back. In any old structure, okay, and many of us might have actually, or at least our grandfathers would have lived in these kind of homes, where the home is structured on the same principle. Yeah? You'll have a veranda. If you go to any South Indian village, the road will be here, and there'll be 3-4 steps, and there'll be an open space here with something where you can sit, right? And that is where the person who comes from the house will have chat. Somebody from the street will come, they'll talk about politics. There is something called Thinnai Pallikudam. Huh? It's between the house and the street, and lots of things will happen. Somebody who's a let's say math teacher will have classes and math happening outside his house. There'll be all kinds of kids will come, learn from him and go. Okay, this kind of interaction will be happening there.
Covered but not full walls, right?
Covered.
Maybe at the most little.
Yeah. And people who are hawkers and all that will never come inside there and hawk. They will stand outside on the street and shout. Yeah, it's a very interesting space. And the actual threshold is here, Dehali, through which you cross into the home, and all the living quarters will be in this part. This space will always be open for community activities. And usually there'll be a tulasi or something out here. Okay, in some very traditional Kerala homes, you have a deity the Kuladevam will be there or something like that. And this is a structure almost all across India. Now, this space in the middle is an extremely interesting space. It's called the Kudam. Okay, which means the space where you come together, energies come together. Yeah? And when people enter this space, they are supposed to leave behind their role differentials and task differentials that characterize this space. So, all celebrations, mourning, all forms of togetherness, and all review of processes happening in the home take place in that space. And if you come to that space and you have a discussion, there are no hierarchies, there is no differential, right? And you bring alive what is called a Pangali. Pangali means exactly what you said, that each of us has a part in the wealth and in the suffering of the space. Panga means part or a proportion. So we're all Pangalis. So when you come into that space, similarly in a village, there'll be a similar space in the village temple where village issues are brought together. Because all the people there are Pangalis of anything that happens in the village, and everybody can come there and discuss it. And that's also where the panchayat is supposed to meet and all of this.
Yeah, no, I was just Bawarchi movie, those who have seen. It's a movie where there is a joint and everyone comes down there and all the songs happen there, all the
Correct.
arguments.
Correct. Arguments will happen there and all of that. And that's where all role differences are dissolved. And why this is so important is we've lost this form of governing ourselves. And this was repeated at many levels, like once in 60 years. You have various kind of Kumbh Mela and this Mela and that Mela. Right? 60 years is because it's a Jupiter cycle. So wisdom is supposed to go one round and come back. Thought leaders of the whole space will come. They will sit together and say, and before that starts, there's a prayer that says, Namas Sadase, Namas Sakina. Let all of us who are members of the Sadas sit together as friends, because we're going to discuss contentious issues. And let's not forget that we're friends. So this non-violent communication business, huh? Let's sit together as friends and let's speak about the truth, etc., etc. And
isn't the same prayer what we have started with?
correct. That's another prayer that is said, because that also means a similar thing. Sahana Vavatu. Let's all of us be together and let's not do anything now which will divide.
I think yesterday we were talking about these Copenhagen kind of climate summits and why they don't create tangible, sustainable, long-term results. Because people come with...
They're supposed to be doing Ma Vidvishava Haihi, but they don't commit to that with full heart. So it's supposed to be in this kind of space. So you create this kind of space for the whole society. And when you come there, you speak with honesty, throw up the issues, without shame, without judgment. And because you do that, you can examine it, and new rules, new ways of dealing with reality are created. Is this clear? How social form and architectural forms and all of that actually follow this central construct. So every day I start with me in this central construct. Each of us has this space which is completely without form and at the origination of energy. Each of us has an Ishta Devata. The Ishta Devata is that form which is the parallel of the Prarabdha Karma that I chose to be born with. I told you in the first day, when we are born, we choose a Prarabdha Karma. So my Ishta Devata is that form of energy that can actually dissolve this Prarabdha Karma.
So in terms of yourself, if you want to say it in terms of yourself,
I have to discover what this Ishta Devata is. There is a Kula Deva, which is the next level, which happen to share the same Kuladevam. Yeah? And so on and so forth. So at a larger thing, for example, if you go to Madurai, all the people in the Madurai Mandalam have Meenakshi as the Deva, which is at that level. So if I have to deal with the collective dukkha and collective asmita of the Madurai Mandalam, I have to ask Meenakshi Devi to do it. No Kuladevam, no Ishtadevata can deal with that. Those are all very personal energies and personal powers. Only this power can deal with it. I don't know if there is a Bharat Mata. I think Bharat Mata is a virtual creation, so we have a little bit of a problem. We need to discover if there is one, the Ishtadevata of Bharat Mata, because it's been made into a political construct. And the real psychological convergence is not there. And I certainly don't think, while we're talking about Gaia and all of this, I really don't think we've touched that core as human beings to say, yes, one part of me actually is there and there's a shared energy that all of us have to own up to. Yeah?
I'm just, Grama Devatas and Nagara Devatas, not all of them seem very wise in the sense they seem to be coming with their own flaws and...
I'm coming to that. See, if you look at, I think Shia belief, they have a similar belief that the king is not the king, or whoever is the ruler is not the ruler, he's ruling on behalf of some other deity. The problem comes in the translation. See, because if in the translation of this energy, I bring in all kinds of rigidities and all that which belong to the asmita, then I actually misuse the power that's been given to me. You don't even have to go to this Devata business. You just go to the fact that collectively a number of people believe that this particular wise man is going to tell me exactly how to live, and I trust this person because I'm afraid, I'm helpless. You are supposed to act from a certain level of intuitive wisdom that tells me what's the dharmic act to do now. But you're asuric. So what do? You love this power. So you do things to keep me inside your power. And therefore, in the here and now and in the present, you misuse this entire gift that's been given by a whole set of people to you. Because they accept their inadequacy, they accept their limitation. They say, I don't know what is the dharmic act for a larger context right now. This is the pain I'm suffering. Please tell me what's the right act. So if you're asuric, what do? You say, look at this guy. You're wearing white and pink. She's wearing black and red. That's the devil. Go and kill the devil, everything will be okay with you.